I want to talk a little bit about the architecture school culture because this is kind of very unique to the field of architecture in being an architecture major. This was my former architecture school building at UC Berkeley. People called it the ugliest building on campus, but I had a lot of memories in this building. It was the College of Environmental Design. This is my current school, Harvard Graduate School of Design. You can see there's an open kind of office space, open studio environment. You know, everyone sees the work of the whole school, and it's this really amazing collaborative, creative environment. In architecture school, we make a lot of models. These were models from my early days. These were some with my classmates. And I think one of the skills you learn is learning how to do things by making things, learning how to design through building a model. Here are some more models from those early days in architecture school, and more models from grad school. These, we were exploring the relationship of geometry through folding paper. What are those geometric properties of a torus, for example, or a cylinder, and how do we panelize a cylinder? So this was my own model from the architecture geometry class, starting from this to the finished work. And this was around 3 feet by 3 feet. So it was a really large model. And over here you see, this is just another collection of models. We make a lot with our hands because we kind of design the space through seeing this physical object. Here's another from Final Review, a sea of black models. And another thing in architecture school is you learn how to present. You not only learn how to make things, but you learn how to present your work to a wider audience. So here you see me talking to a group of critics. I'm presenting the work of my project to these critics who are giving me advice or kind of talking about my project. So it's this conversation about design that you begin to learn in architecture school. So here again is me in graduate school presenting my work to a group of critics. Here you see my peers and my classmates listening to me talk. And so over the years, I've kind of developed this learning how to present to a wider audience about my work and not just keeping the work to myself. But in architecture school, it's also quite fun because, you know, there's also informal gatherings where you talk about your work with a group of people who are equally creative. So here you see me talking with my friends about design. We're kind of admiring the work of another peer. But we also build. This is a project we did in grad school, and this is in the structures class where, you know, we were building this 15 feet wide bridge, and we were testing it for structural capacities. One part of architecture school is very abstract, very conceptual, such as what you saw in those architecture models, but it's also very real. You know, we work with, you know, drills, we work with, you know, the wood saw cutters, and here you see an array of 15 feet wide bridges. These were tested all for their structural capacities. So this is actually, the picture on the right is actually my team, and we're disassembling our structural bridge. And this kind of withheld the structural test. And you begin to see how something that is very kind of abstract becomes very real when you start to build it. You begin to see how materials kind of work. You begin to see the joints that are needed to kind of construct these bridges. And it's kind of a larger lesson towards what I learned in the profession. Here's another kind of material exploration in architecture school. So you not only take design studios, but you have opportunities to take other courses that relate to materials that relate to history, for example. And in this class, this was a material exploration class, and we were asked to make a stool out of plastic. And so our team had this idea where we wanted to make we wanted to use a continuous sheet of plastic or acrylic, and we wanted to somehow fold that into a stool. And so here you see me behind that cut acrylic. This came from a larger sheet, and we had this machine called the Zen that would cut this acrylic in one piece. So here you see that acrylic being bent. But let me share a video. One way we learned how to bend this piece of material was by using these heat guns. So here you see me with my partner, and we're applying heat to the material such that, you know, the atoms of the plastic begin to bend. And so from this experience, we kind of learned, you know, how to work with different materials. This is that bent acrylic and the final result of the stool. And so this was a fun kind of exploration in material and something that is very kind of necessary. You learn how to work with different materials such as wood, such as plastic, such as paper. And these things become larger lessons for how buildings operate.